Hi everyone, Jane here. Thank you for watching my video today. And today I thought I would do a bit of a colour palette. Haven't done one for a little while, so I thought I would get my colour palette book out, which I will list in the description box below, and use some of my Kuretake Gansai Tambi from the Art Nouveau set. Now I can't remember off the top of my head what these actual colours were, so again I will list those down below, but they were all from that same set. And I matched the colours to the colour palette book, and I was wondering whether if I allowed each layer to dry, whether I would be able to layer these colours up on each other, because I thought that would make an interesting sort of look, because I wanted to use all the colours in the background, but I knew that if I just put them all down in one go, they would just mix together, probably really muddy up and not give me the sort of look I wanted. So what I did was I put my blues down first, then I let them dry, then I laid my next colour, let that dry and so on, and that's what you can see me doing here. Now I am working in the Canson art book, which has got 100% cotton watercolour paper in it. It's Saunders Waterford paper, and it is one of my favourite sketchbooks to work in. And I do find that these paints do work really nicely in this particular book. So I was adding quite a lot of water in as I added the colours, and I worked from sort of the two blues I put together because I knew they'd work together. Then I went with the purple because I knew that if there was any mixing, it would or blend okay. And then I've gone into the sort of like the more complementary colours that I know could cause a problem right at the end, and made sure it was dry in between. Now when I looked at the picture, there was lots of little white fluffy clouds in the background, but there wasn't a white in the background. There wasn't a white in the colour selection, I should say. So I decided that rather than clouds, I'd add some circles, but I'm going in with the white acrylic paint from HobbyCraft. And I sort of scrubbed it in quite a bit, and so I think it did lift a little bit of the paint. So the white isn't white, which I quite liked, because it sort of muted it down a little bit, made it not so stark against the page. And this is just a stencil I made by using a piece of mylar, and I just die cut it with my nesting circles. Now I chose some blues that matched in with the colour palette from the Archival ink set, and I'm using my Make a Mark stamp set just to add a little bit more texture and interest in the background. So I've gone with a Speckled Egg and Paradise Teal and Mermaid Lagoon, I think, are the three colours that I used. I decided that those sort of open circles in the stamping really were lending themselves to adding a bit more colour. So I went back in with the same Kuretake paints that I'd used in the background and just painted in some of the elements that I'd just stamped. I wanted to add some flower images that matched with the colour palette book, and so I used some collage pieces from the Fairies in Bloom and the Botanica, both from Maremi Small Art. And I chose ones that were sort of the colours that were in the colour palette. So that I think they look a little bit more grey, these flowers in the video, but in reality they were sort of more of a purpley hue. So I went for sort of purples and blues and oranges, and just spent a little bit of time laying them out to see how I wanted them to look. I wanted them to sort of mirror the photo a little bit, with like a field of flowers on a nice sunny day. Once I decided which ones needed to be right at the back, I started with those. So I'm using the Liquitex Professional Matte Medium. This little flower here had sort of a straight edge, so I wanted to put that on the side there. And I have got a piece of paper to the side of me for once, just so that I don't get the matte medium everywhere. I was trying to be a little bit more delicate. Now, when I think I hadn't heat set the layers of the paint that I'd put down. So when I actually put the matte medium down over this bit where I'd just recently painted in those little circles, the paint did move a little bit. So I think I find the Gansai Tambis don't move that much when you put things over the top, but if you heat set, then that does help as well. I did feel that they were blending a little bit into the background and that they did need a bit of shadowing. So I first of all got out this sea blue pencil to add a bit of shading around the edges. Now I don't show you all of this because actually what I then decided, I turned the camera off because it was going to be a really long process. And actually, as I was doing the sea blue, I realised that it actually wasn't dark enough. It was making some colour in the background, but it wasn't creating a shadow. So I did actually switch to the deep indigo pencil instead. Once I'd put all the shadows in, I felt that I needed to add some highlights because it still wasn't, the flowers still felt a bit too much into the background. So I'm just using my Copic Acrea in the white just to add some bits of highlight to all the flowers, all the stems, and eventually I also add some into the circles as well. Finally, I'm adding a sentiment from Lemon Creation just to finish off the page. And that is all that I wanted to really do with this project. So thank you ever so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, do please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be fantastic. And until the next time, bye bye.